Women in One Piece are usually connected to themes of youth, family, and death. Higurashi was super old, and we were explicitly shown her turn into some youthful lady. Kureha is the oldest character in the series, but obsessed with the secret of youth. Sugar has a broken devil fruit ability, and she appears as a child even though she isn't. Carmel was also really old, but then was supposedly eaten by Big Mom, a character who, despite being a mature woman, has major childish regressions and aging issues. Big Mom strongly resembles Bonnie in tons of ways, and that's another female tied to aging. Pakin is an old lady who's connected to youth by Stussy. I could go on, but you get the picture. With Lily, we have a very old Nefertari figurehead contrasted with a very young Nefertari figurehead, as if Lily's will has been inherited by Vivi. The painting that we saw of Lily recently in 1116 was contrasted by a portrait of Cobra smiling, which was during his funeral. This picture from the St. Brice certainly seems to imply this familiar looking lady also met her end. So what's with all these chicks in paintings going missing, or even worse? Maybe these tie to the different wives we know Imu had. This painting theory goes wild, so I'm very excited for this. Hello, as always, it's Denden, and today we have another spicy theory for everyone where we dive into ideas around how, if you're a woman in the One Piece world, you should never get your portrait done, as well as these ladies' ties to Imu's actual powers. Is Lily preserved through a painting, or is she more of a Horcrux for Imu? As always, there's a little extra spice towards the end of the video, so stick around for that. Make sure you like and sub, and let's get into this. So, is it possible Imu has the power to put someone in a painting? Drawing parallels to the story The Picture of Dorian Gray, where Dorian's portrait reflects his soul's corruption while he remains physically unchanged, Imu's ability may allow a painting to capture and interact with a person's essence, potentially affecting their state outside the artwork. Like Dorian Gray, it could mean that the damage inflicted on Imu's body is stored within the painting as opposed to Imu's actual person, making her invulnerable. Viola was featured in some portraits in Dressrosa. She has the Jiro Jiro Nomi, or the Glare Glare fruit, which is a paramecia type devil fruit that allows her to see through solid objects and read the minds of others by creating a mental image of what they are thinking. We see something similar with the Memo Memo fruit eaten by Charlotte Pudding. This is another paramecia devil fruit, but it allows her to manipulate memories by creating and erasing them. Pudding can alter how people perceive events by changing their memories, effectively rewriting their history or reality as perceived by others. This works similarly to Sugar's devil fruit and what people remember of the toys that she's turned people into. This all could suggest that a side effect of Lily being trapped in a painting is that people have forgotten about her. The implications of such a power in the One Piece world are profound. For example, a character like Imu might have used the ability to trap powerful enemies, conserve their abilities, and protect important secrets, all by hiding them within paintings, safe from anyone else's reach. Additionally, in the story, the concept of being trapped inside a painting is something that has already been featured in many different forms. The Straw Hats were caught off guard in chapter 716 by Giola when she turned them into a painting before being beaten by Soul King Brook. Is Oda suggesting here that Brook is more soulful than Giola, I wonder? Mont Dior's had enough people trapped in her book as pictures. There are other mediums also, such as Sugar turning people into toys, as I mentioned, and Big Mom trapping souls in inanimate objects. The foundation for art-based powers is evident with Miss Golden Week in chapter 184, where her painting trap ability manipulates emotions via painted colours, and also with Kanjuro Kurozumi in chapter 1032, who wields the Fude Fude Nomi or brush fruit, allowing his drawings to come to life. Now bear that in mind, that the traitor Kanjuro had the brush fruit. Now I'll touch on that in a second. So we can see it's completely within the One Piece style to see paintings that physically trap people or emotions or objects within them. The process could involve painting a detailed image of the target or marking them somehow, which upon activation by a command or touch pulls the target into a painted dimension, drawing inspiration from Vanderdecker's Meito Nomi or Target fruit, as well as Charlotte Brulé's Mirror Nomi. Portraits in One Piece serve as powerful symbols of identity, will and legacy, and are often intertwined with the themes of will and death. This illustrates how characters' influences and aspirations persist beyond their lifetimes, inspiring future generations and shaping the narrative, adding to the whole checkered fate motif Oda uses. In other words, when you see a portrait or a framed picture of a mysterious character in One Piece, it's important and likely symbolizes something key to the real truth behind the world. The Saint Brice features one of the eeriest portraits we've ever seen in OP, depicting a woman much like the one on Kuma's Bible, but with a spear through her head. Portus de Rouge, the mother of Portus de Ace, has her portrait seen during Ace's flashback in Marineford. Belmia, Nami's adoptive mother, is depicted in a portrait at Nami's house, symbolizing her influence on Nami's life. The Vinsmoke Sora, Sanji's mother, appears in a portrait at the Germa 66 castle, crucial to Sanji's backstory. Scarlet, the wife of Kyros and mother of Rebecca, is shown in a portrait in flashbacks during the Dressrosa arc. Otohime, pivotal in Fishman Island's history, is depicted in a portrait at the Ryuga Palace. Carmel and Big Mom are bound by Soul, which was encapsulated by the photo frame smashing, causing Big Mom to freak out. Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? All of these ladies are unfortunately unalive. This is not a coincidence either. No doubt the reason connects to why Imu had so many wives and why Lily went missing in the first place, and also why we see a portrait of her. The way Oda showed Imu staring at the painting is ambiguous, but gives off some feeling of concern or regret in my opinion, but also indicates that there's more to this and that Imu has a plan that connects to Lily. So in summary, it's probably best to say that the panel that we see where Imu's looking at the painting gives off a thoughtful vibe, you know, it looks like Imu's thinking about something. Earlier, I mentioned Giola of the Don Quixote Pirates and Imu, the mysterious figure atop the world government hierarchy, who both appear initially unrelated but may actually share deeper connections through their respective abilities. Introduced in chapter 715, Giola wields the Eto Eto Nomi, or Art Fruit, allowing her to transform people and objects into surreal artistic forms, symbolizing manipulation of perception and reality. We saw one of the absolute wildest panels in the history of One Piece, which still to this day baffles most fans. What makes this so important is the fact it's basically a huge hint from Oda regarding what occurred during the Void Century, namely that the Eastern Kingdom, which pertains to Luffy, blocked out the sun against the Western Kingdom, which relates to celestial dragons. The reason why East appears on the left here is like the seas in the One Piece world has been flipped. Oda also include words like immortal and heaven in Giola's techniques, so it's pretty clear here that the connections to Imu and the whole heavenly divine themes going on at the top of Marine Joie are very intentional by Oda. Art serves as a medium of communication during the story too, such as Wano with the message about where the raid was taking place and the picture of Luffy that gave the time the Straw Hats needed to reunite. Maybe there is a message within the painting of Lily, such as some historical truth that acts as a puzzle piece in the grander whole scheme of things. So the idea would be maybe there's some sort of information or voiceable things in there that Imu isn't aware of, and that might help resolve the true history later on in the story. Art also functions as a tool of manipulation, exemplified by Miss Goldenweek's paint trap I mentioned earlier. So maybe a truth has been hidden within the painting, even from Imu. We have seen people interact with souls in strange ways in the story, so the Straw Hats potentially could still discover this truth. Brook's music, for example, influences people's souls, even causing them to fall asleep, or dream, you could say. This is actually foreshadowed, which I talked about months before Lily's reveal in a video where I showed Vivi playing a harp in a patch of water lilies and explained how this could indicate her soothing the dead. Maybe the Straw Hats need to enter the painting to save the princess in a nod to Mario 64, or perhaps the painting will be brought to life like we've seen before. So in other words, if there is a truth that's stuck inside the painting or some information that Lily's will holds, then there are ways that the Straw Hats or other characters could interact with the painting and maybe take that information or learn from it. Amongst all the possibilities, one does stand out to me, however. Lily's eyes are not looking great in the portrait, and we know at this point eyes are the window to the soul. So whoever is in that painting, I'm confident is no longer alive in the sense of your standard soul. However, they are, according to how memory works in One Piece, as people are said to only die when they are forgotten. So my thoughts are, Lily is not alive, however part of her sustains Imu to this day, like a Horcrux. Maybe it's instead the duty of the Straw Hats to destroy the painting and put Lily's will to rest, as opposed to rescuing her. This could involve Zorro becoming the king of the underworld to release the hold over Lily. In turn, this leads to Emu using Vivi's will as a substitute, which results in Law potentially giving up his life to save her via the Opie Nomi, as Vivi is needed for the Dawn to last. If this does happen, this is going to be super emotional, and I know a lot of people probably haven't thought about stuff like that, but Law isn't going to make it, and the sacrifice has to go to someone, so why not Vivi? Alright, so with all this in mind, let's summarize where we're at. Emu has a connection to the ancient Nefertari princess, Queen Lily. Lily eventually goes missing. There's an eerie painting of Lily in Marijua, and Emu looks at it from time to time thoughtfully. The eyes are shaded out, and most of the portraits of the women in the One Piece world are women that are no longer alive and are not coming back. I think the painting provides a use to Emu, and Emu is somehow bound to it, perhaps adding to the reason Emu doesn't leave Marijua. I think by destroying, or maybe more likely releasing the painting from its curse, it will detach Emu from it like a Horcrux and leave Emu more vulnerable. But this definitely is not all. This is in fact just the beginning, because what if it's not just paintings? This is hinted at in chapter 906 during the Reverie arc, where we discover a massive Straw Hat in cold storage under Marijua. I do want to make a point that 3-Day Trip, after reading the spoilers for 1119 last night, mentioned that Emeth, the Iron Giant, could be the original owner of the Straw Hat, which is very interesting, particularly as the giant went up to Marijua at one point, was triggered to go to Marijua, so it's possible. However, back to the point. Could it be that there are other relics, not just paintings, that hold the wills of key figures hidden around the world? Think about Yoru, something I've long since speculated to be Joy Boy's sword. Think about the song Binks Saki, and the information the lyrics could hold in its ties to Brook. Think about the symbols of the Ancient Kingdoms that we've seen in Wano, Alabasta, Zoe, etc. Great ships like the Noah, Maxim and Pluton. Are these all pieces of a fragmented ancient history that need to be freed the same way Lily does? In the same conversation that I mentioned earlier with 3-Day Trip, 3 also mentioned the idea that Joy Boy's original flame, like his original will, may have been split up in amongst his crew and amongst artifacts and stuff, and it's in bringing all of these together in one piece that we can rekindle the flame of Nika and liberation. And although I haven't got any decent script written up for anything like that right now, we will discuss that more in future videos and on stream, so check it out. Okay, but now let's look at some other forms of painting Emu is connected to. Turn your thoughts to the theories concerning Emu drawing the X over Lalesia on the map. Many have speculated since seeing this that Oda was hinting Emu controls some part of reality using ink or a map. By crossing out Lalesia, it physically manifested the destruction of Lalesia. Additionally, we see shadowy or inky shapes with the Gorosei and the arrows used to kill Cobra. This motif also fits with the theories about Luffy breaking the fourth wall, as Emu may influence the actual ink on the page. This distortion of reality fits well as a counterpart to the protagonist Luffy's sun god Nika Devil Fruit, as well as the idea that the authors are also artists when it comes to manga. We know Oda's got huge ties to Toriyama and Dragon Ball, and we have seen little drawings in Dragon Ball volumes where Goku's breaking the panels using his Kamehameha, so it's an interesting idea. If this is the case though, why doesn't Emu just cross out Laugh-Tale or Wano or Dressrosa? Well, there are probably some conditions if someone's will is embedded into their portrait or tied to an object, as we see with Sugar's toys who are forgotten and Big Mum's constituents that have a contract tied to their lifespan. It's possible this reflects a deal made between Emu and the Celestial Dragons or some other party, perhaps meaning Emu's bound to a set of rules, similar to what we saw in the ABC series Lost with the candidates. On the other hand, as opposed to a contract, these limitations could be caused by physical properties of the One Piece world, such as how Sea Stone negates Devil Fruit abilities. If this is the case, it would make sense why Emu may need to bind important figures to an object of sorts, and could even be the reason for the Opie Nomi's top-end bounty. Maybe Emu really wants this Devil Fruit so she can revive Lily or revive other old relics. Okay guys, so that is a brief overview of everything we have on the painting. If you do want more, it's a subject we've covered on stream and we talk about daily in the Discord, so make sure you jump in. Maybe think about the wives and how the wives connect to all of these strange portraits in One Piece of women that are unfortunately not with us anymore or no longer in the story anymore. If you enjoyed the channel or the video particularly, consider becoming a member and requesting some exclusive content or features, or joining our Patreon and having some influence on our creative decisions. As always, thanks for watching. Make sure you've liked and subbed. Look after yourself, be yourself, free yourself, and if you've made it this far, you've just won a free portrait done by Giola. So just hit me up with the deets in the comments and we'll book the appointment ASAP. Much love, peace.